Hi, welcome to the podcast Elevated Lives Every Day in Every Way. Today we have a new one today, and I have Sam Fisher here, and he's going to talk to us about a great one. The great one is going the distance. This was a great one, developing the best mindset and fitness strategies possible. Going the distance. So we're going to talk about his life and his life as an athlete, but then we're going to talk about psychology. He's interested in psychology. He's going to talk about fitness strategies for everyday life and everyday people, good nutrition as well, some spiritual activities, spiritual strength that's important in our lives. And then he's going to talk about some of his own work in podcasting and Instagram. So welcome, Sam. It's good for you. I met Sam about a month ago, and I grabbed him at the gym, and we had a great conversation. Actually, he walked over to me when I was on the treadmill and introduced. And so, Sam, talk a little bit about your journey and your activities as an athlete and your journey to be a better person.
Well, thank you for having me on, Larry, and I'm thankful for this opportunity to talk. And really where things started for me was sixth grade. I started playing basketball, and I fell in love with basketball. And from the point of sixth grade until my senior year of high school, I worked at basketball pretty much every day, along with lifting and whatnot. And then once I graduated high school, I was done playing, and so I kind of needed something. And I was still lifting, I was still doing some cardio things, and then eventually got into I wanted to run a marathon, and my dad had run some marathons, so I think that the seed was already kind of planted, and
Nice.
I got into running ultra marathons, and that's kind of where I'm at right now.
You've had success at that. Brag a little bit. You've had great success.
I've been successful. I have been blessed with I think discipline is my talent. So you're supposed to run X, Y, Z amount of miles each day. You do that, and you train hard, and you go and you take care of business when you run on game day,
So today we're going to talk about your journey. Is that at first you didn't know what you want to do, and now you've kind of mapped it out a little bit. You're interested in psychology. You've come back to college and do that. How are you using your studies and pursuit in psychology? What have you learned how to work with some of your mindset strengths and creating goals?
Specifically with the mindset strengths, with psychology, but just in everyday life. For me,
Sure.
I think of the power of the mustard seed of just takes tiny actions every single day. For me, it seems silly, but the cold shower every day, the cold water, getting in the cold water, going to do a little workout.
That's cold.
That just every day that compounds and adds up. And I think so much as well of that mindset is just your attitude that you have, and being grateful, just reminding yourself constantly that this is a blessing, that I have my body, that I can use my body in these types of ways. And then with setting goals, I like the idea of not making the outcome the goal, but making the habit the goal. So instead of making it a goal to say gain 10,000 followers on Instagram, I'm going to make it a habit to post 5 posts a week. Nice. And making the habits the goal, instead of the outcome, just make more focus on the journey and just the everyday work that needs to be done.
So that really is a good way to move yourself forward. And you really look at learning and expanding your knowledge and being open to learn as well.
Mm-hmm.
That's been part of your college now journey as well.
Well, especially what I've realized is that nothing is arbitrary along the way. For psychology, I'm taking a biology class, I'm taking stats. That's in psychology. I'm taking composition too. Some of these classes that I used to maybe in the past think like this is silly, but I've realized the gen eds are truly the foundation, and nothing you learn along the way is going to be arbitrary, whether that's in school or a job you worked when you were younger. Any skill you gain is creating you into who you are. It is preparing you for what your purpose.
You never know where you're going to use that skill later in that knowledge. So suddenly it's just like, oh, I know how to do that, or now I know that. And so that's been something that Sam's impressed me with, is that his interest in knowing more and doing better and going for that mindset and as being in that journey. So the other thing we're going to talk about today is fitness. And
Yes.
so as an ultra, it's different than my goals as being every day, or Carter's goals as every day. That's a whole lot different. So what can we learn about good fitness strategies for everyday people?
Mm. I think exactly what you said was that you have to know what you want, um, because you can easily get distracted by other people telling you what you should want. So knowing what your own goal is, I think simply having a plan. For me, if it's like if I just say I'm going to go to the gym, like who knows what I'm going to do. But if I say I'm going to go to the gym, I'll run, or I'm going to run 6 miles today. I have a plan, then it's just execute. That's all it is. All I have to do is execute from there. And I think too, this is something that I've learned. The hardest part is not doing the run or workout in the gym. The hardest part is putting your shoes on and taking that first step. The hardest part is showing up to the gym. So if you can master getting started, then you're in. Once you're in, it's like I'm gonna take care of business. I'm gonna get it done.
Again, that habit going, we talked about that earlier.
Yes.
Developing a habit is that fitness and exercise and activity is just part of it. So doing an activity that you like, it might be gym based, it might be more outside based, golf, swimming, biking, it might be in a facility. It can do all kinds of things. Walking the dog.
That's what I had here is walking. I mean, you cannot underestimate the power of getting 10,000, 15,000 steps. And like you said,
That's a lot of steps.
do something you enjoy doing. If you don't like doing the Stairmaster, don't do the Stairmaster.
Exactly.
Go do something you like, and that's what's going to work best for you.
And if you do it for a while, flip out and do something different.
Yes. You can't underestimate doing that either.
So it's a good thing is maybe sometimes to partner up and have a partner or someone that you're somewhat responsible for showing up. Like Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I work out with somebody, or I have a social group that's kind of fun to hang out with, maybe.
That's what I've noticed too about the gym is that it's not just it becomes a place to engage and interact with people. And how much more likely are you to show up when you know that your friend is going to be there and he's waiting on you to show up? Like, I'm not missing.
You better be there.
Yeah, you better
be there. Exactly. So that's a huge thing. And think about all the little things we can do. Pickleball is a huge thing, and it's something that's just expanding, and people of all ages can do it. We can be fit and energized and active at any age. It's just not for younger people, but older people too.
It's more accessible than ever before.
And so having activities for all kinds of activities for younger people, middle-aged people, or even the elders are so important to keep active for muscle strength, cognitive strength as well. Just social and mental health is so important.
I think that's what plays a huge role in it for me is the mental clarity that comes from working out. And it's just like sweating is like a form of, they say when you cry, you're kind of releasing some toxins. That's how I feel if I'm getting the heart rate up and sweating, and clears the mind,
Good. The other thing we need to talk about is nutrition. Oh my gosh, I have a thing for sweets. Oh my gosh, if it doesn't have sugar in it, I might not want it. So that's not the best strategy to eat, right? And so what are some good everyday strategies for all people? What is it? Just not fitness enthusiasts, but just everyday.
The first thing that comes to mind for me is environment. If I have a pack of Oreos at my house, I'm going to eat the Oreos. If I have
row.
Yeah, the whole row. The whole row. But if I have got raspberries and some blueberries, and that's all I got, I'm going to eat the raspberries and the blueberries. So control what you can with the environment, and also just understanding. For me, I don't think it's an absolute no sugar ever. It's the reason you can enjoy sweets is because you're not constantly eating them. So I think when you do have them, enjoy them, but that's because it's not all the time. It's a treat.
Exactly. And sometimes it's great to work with your health practitioner and work with a nutritionist or a gym personal trainer who knows nutrition, who can kind of focus on goals and how to eat to reach your certain fitness goals as well, or just work with your health practitioner on good healthy practices.
That's a good point too, and I think part of that is reading labels. If you can read a label, if you can understand just the calories and things, it'll put you a million miles ahead of not being able to. You know, that's a big deal.
Processed foods are bad. Don't do the processed foods. We all enjoy the quick carry-outs, the drive-throughs, but don't do that. Eat at home and have fun and create and do stuff. Take time to make meals at home. They're healthier, they're cheaper as well.
Mhm.
And so use some of those meals. It's always fun going out to eat and social time.
It is.
That's
You're
important.
right.
That's important too. Family time. Family time can be at home too.
Yeah, and that's a big deal. That's an important time.
The other part of your life also that I've learned with you is your spiritual side, and that's part of your podcast and Instagrams. You've really embraced the spiritual side
Mm-hmm.
and use that to develop strength and your mindset growth and your fitness and your journey, your life's journey. So share a little bit about that, please.
So I've grown up. I grew up in the church, and so that definitely played a role into it. But I began doing a lot of my own searching, especially just looking for like what's really going on in this world, what's going on with my life. And so I've always had that longing and inclination towards that. But just more recently, even it's just overcome my life. The way that I see things is that as an ultra runner, at any moment I could take a step and be injured, and it could all be over. I could lose everybody, I could lose everything, but having God in my life, having that spiritual side, that's always there with me. I think that's my constant. That's my rock in the crashing waves. That's always there, and there's so much more I could say about it. But
how about two more?
Yeah,
as we were sitting here before the podcast started, Sam was saying a couple of things, and I was just wowed by a couple of these statements. So if you can wow us again, you want to wow us. That's kind of putting you on the spot all of a sudden, but can you wow us some more?
Well, I think for two things that really with the spiritual side is, for me, I practice Christianity, and so having the Bible, having the Word of God is kind of there it guides my life, and so without any guidelines, Bob Dylan said, "Freedom's just around the corner for you, but with truth so far off, what good will it do?" If you don't have truth, there's no such thing as freedom. You have to have something to guide your life, and that's what the Scripture provides for me. And then also prayer. It's just, if I'm struggling with you, if I'm having a hard time with you, Larry, and I pray for you, it's as if I'm looking at you, wishing the best for you, and so that begins to change my perception of you.
It's so important how that energy is manifested.
Prayer changes how you see things, which changes what you see. So in changing how I see you, it changes you in a sense. And so
in our situations, how we see situations, don't see it as challenges that are complete obstacles.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it gives us perspective, and if I think of perspective as truth, and truth sets us free.
Good.
Yeah.
Well, those are powerful things. So far, I love it. All right. So, a moment here. You have a podcast and Instagram. Where could we find those?
You find the podcast is on most places you look. For sure, Spotify. Spotify is where most people listen. It's called Sharpen the Iron Podcast with Sam Fisher, and we just discuss we discuss life essentially, and that's what we're doing here. And then
and they're real short too sometimes.
Yeah. They're about 12 to 20 minutes, so nothing too crazy, but a good little listen. And then Instagram is Sam Fisher 34, and that's Instagram. And then through that, if you use Facebook, you can find me. Because they're connected now.
Okay.
Yep.
Nice.
That's where I'll post there a couple times a week, and then podcasts twice a week.
Okay.
Yep.
Oh, you're busy. Okay. And you do that from home?
Do that from home. Yes.
Okay. Excellent. This has been a great podcast. This has been fun. I put them on the spot. I like to grab people and say, "Let's do a podcast," and then people go, "Oh." And so, but you've handled it well. And so, as we kind of wrap things up today, is going the distance. We've learned a couple of great things. We learned about psychology, how we can use psychology to deepen our mission and our focus and strengthen us. We've talked about developing great strategies for propelling us in our fitness and our health journeys. We talked about nutrition, how nutrition can help us with that journey and not distract us. It's okay to have some sweets, but not live only by sweets.
Yep.
Right? Although it would be kind of fun for a while. And then how spiritual strength, and not any certain domination, but just having a strength and a sense of spiritual moments in our lives.
Mhm.
It's so important. How do you want to close it?
I just want to say thank you, Larry. Would love if you came over and checked out the podcast. And I'm looking forward to discussions where things go from here, I should say.
One more words of wisdom.
Words of wisdom for the day. What would you do if you were not afraid? Those are my words of wisdom.
Say that one more time. That's impressive. One more time.
What would you do if you were not afraid?
I like that. I'm going to think about that later today.
No, it'll haunt you, Larry.
All right. So our podcast has been fun, going the distance with our fitness and our mindset growth and making our lives better, elevating our lives, but also elevating lives of others. So it's so important. So thank you for journeying with us. Follow us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram, Spotify, and all the other places that we've anchored as well. And of course, follow Sam as well.
Oh, check it out. Thank
Sam
you, Larry.
Fisher. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for joining us today. I appreciate your time.